In this episode of Mighty Motocompo Goodness, the build continues. We put the covers back on, but she still doesn't run. Ning, 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 ning. Check it out. On this episode of Mighty Motocompo Goodness, we pick up where we left off last week. Last week, we got the Mighty Motocompo to a point where it was time for its first start. Now, there was no start and there was no goodness. The Motocompo just would not start. So this week, we'll run through what we've done to try and get it started and where we are now, and we will move on with the project. Check it out. Alright, so where do we start? First of all, yep, the Motocompo didn't start. Look, sometimes shit just doesn't go to plan. So let's go over the things that I have done, and that way we can rule it out. So if you watched last episode, we did put the electrics in the Motocompo, we put the cables in, we basically ran all the fuel lines, we got the bike ready to start, and we left that episode with me not able to get the bike started. Failure! So let's go over some of the things that I've done to problem solve this, and I'm reaching out in this episode to you guys. Maybe you've got an idea that I haven't thought of. Maybe I might have an epiphany, or you've seen this before, but let me know what you think. So it didn't start. So the first thing that we did is we did a compression test. Now it was just over 100 psi by kicking it. If I had to put it on the drill, I probably would have got a higher psi rating out of it. So compression is good. We've got spark. We've got a very nice, healthy spark. So that looks good as well. We pulled off the cylinder head and just checked that we didn't have any scoring or any mistakes inside there in terms of the piston was the wrong way around. And it all looks good there as well. Now I did suspect, and I still have a suspicion, that we're not getting any fuel. So we drained the carburetor of fuel, because it does have a drain in the bottom of it, and it did have fuel in it. So then I thought maybe the jets were blocked. So I pulled apart the carburetor to check the jets. The jets were fine. Everything was fine. I've re-gapped the spark plug to 0.8 of a millimeter as per the specs say. I do have the correct spark plug. The stator, I suspect my stator might be wrong, or the generator, or the magneto, whatever it is that you want to call it. Here's a photo of my stator, and there's a photo of another stator. So they do look a little bit different. The poles look like they're in slightly different spots. So that led me down the path of maybe it's timing. But as far as I can tell, you can't adjust the timing because there's a keyway on the crank, and the little bit that holds the flywheel on, it can only go on one way as well. But having said that, within the flywheel, inside the actual flywheel itself, it does have 4 magnets around it. But there is no noticeable pickup, as in there's no noticeable timing mark to say, hey, this is where you should be sparking. Then we ran it on Aero Start. Now I can get it to run on Aero Start consistently. Here's a video here of it running on Aero Start. Ignition is on. Full throttle. There you go. That's about 3 seconds. I reckon I've probably got it to about 5 or 6 seconds. So that kind of rules out the timing thing, right? If it will run on aero start, maybe the timing is right. But then I'm back to it has no fuel again, because it will run on aero start, but unless it's got aero start, it's not running. And we performed a pressure test within the cylinder itself. The little bike held 6 psi for 10 minutes, didn't drop a little beat. So it must be pulling vacuum. Now, the other thing I want to point out is when I put my hand over the carburetor and block the carburetor as I kick it, it does draw fuel, as in my hand gets wet of fuel. So I know it's able to draw the fuel, but is there enough vacuum inside to pull it through? At this point, guys, I am absolutely lost as to why this little Motocompo won't start. I've been trying for a whole week now. I've tried multiple different things, all above. I've reached out to you on some forums and stuff. So at the moment, the mighty Motocompo is basically a very, very expensive wall art. Anyway, we're going to kick on with this episode. We're going to do something. We're basically going to finish the build except for it starting. So we're on to bodywork. So let's have a look at what I've done. Alright, time to get on with this episode, however. Let's look on the bright side. And this episode's all about the plastics that you saw me fix way back then, what they look like now, and then we're going to chuck them on the bike. So plastics behind me on the table, everything's been repainted and everything looks absolutely fantastic. There you go, look at that freshly painted Motocompo goodness then, and brand new stickers or decals, whatever you want to call them, to go on the bike. Stickers are on. Starting to actually look like a Motocompo. As long as it looks like a Motocompo, we're going to be halfway there. So I'm going to fold it all up, close everything up on it, lower the body down on top of it, and then put the side panels on. And it's starting to look very much like a brand new Motocompo. Of course, there's one missing bit, but we won't worry about that for the rest of this episode. Alright, look at that. Right there, Motocompo with the top cover on. Looking fantastic. It's actually starting to look like a Motocompo now. So, we're going to put the side cover on this side. Now it's worth noting that the battery that I did get in that previous episode will not fit under the side cover without modification of the little box or the little area that the battery sits within. It's the battery box or the mudguard, whichever you want to call it. Now, to me, on rare things, modifications are a big no-no. Improvements, yes, but modifications, absolutely not. So we're going to take that battery out for now. I've already got another battery coming. I believe it will fit, but you never know. I believe this one would fit as well. And we'll put the side cover on. Check that out, eh? Look at that. Starting to really look like a Motocompo. Really starting to get a bit excited now. This thing looks absolutely spectacular. With all the brand new nuts and bolts, everything absolutely brand new. Seats, levers, cables, everything brand new. We basically are going to have ourselves a brand new Motocompo. Pretty exciting stuff. Alright, Motocompo plastics are on. Just got to put a few stickers on it still, but that's okay. Next job is these little decorative trims that go down the side. Now these are very difficult to repair because they have what we call a textured coat on them. So that means when you sand them, the little wrinkly finish that's on them sands off, and it makes it extremely hard to repair them. And you can't buy them new, so repairing them is pretty much the only way that you can do it and hope that it comes out alright. Look, these aren't too bad. I'd probably give them about an 8.5 out of 10. It's very difficult to do it well. Let's put them on. Alright guys, that is it for this episode. The mighty Motocompo is whole again, and it does look like a brand new Motocompo. It's still missing one vital component. It still doesn't run, but we're going to resolve that pretty soon. I think I know what the problem is, and I've ordered a new part which hopefully will put an end to the non-starting issues. But till then, I know you guys have been waiting. You really want to see what the bike looks like all together. Check it out.